Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our weekly Q&A with the Family Support Team at the St. Louis Arc. I'm Sharon Spurlock, Senior Director of Family Education, and I'm very excited about our webinar today. We've got our guest, Chelsea Stinnett from Think College. For those of you that haven't heard of Think College, settle down and enjoy this conversation today. You're going to learn so much about looking at inclusive post-secondary education opportunities. So without further ado, Chelsea, welcome to the St. Louis Arc. So glad you could join us today.
Yeah, so happy to be here. I am here talking about one of my very favorite things, and that is inclusive post-secondary ed for students with intellectual disability. While I gear up and share my screen, I'll go ahead and briefly introduce myself. So I am Chelsea. I work for Think College, which is the National Coordinating Center for Students with Intellectual Disability, for college programs with students with intellectual disability. But prior to that, I ran a program myself. So I ran a program in the Southeast portion of the country, and then have been with Think College for over a year now. And I cannot tell you enough how excited I am to share this information with you and hopefully field some great questions about what is inclusive post-secondary education for students with intellectual disability. So what do we do at Think College? At Think College, we are a federally funded national coordinating center, and we develop college options for students with intellectual disability. So we work with programs, universities and colleges across the country to start programs. We seek to improve and refine existing college programs, and then we assist students and families to prepare for college and finding the option that might work best for them after they consider life after high school. I have a brief video for you. It's one thing for me to just jump into explaining what this is. It's another to just see it and see the experiences of our students across the country and what the impact of this experience has on not only who they're becoming, but the jobs and career and sense of fulfillment in their social lives that they experience at colleges and universities all over the country. So without further ado, this is inclusive post-secondary ed for students with intellectual disability.
Hi everyone, I'm a student here at Georgia Tech. We are asking students with intellectual disabilities around the country what's fun about going to college.
Is a chance to not be around your parents.
The best thing about being in college is the food. Being in a dorm, getting to meet new people.
You have a bed, you have a sink, you have a desk, you have a TV, and you have a refrigerator. You can also hang up posters anywhere.
Great mocha latte, the best mocha latte I ever have.
There are more than 420,000 school-age students with intellectual disability, but only 2% of them are likely to attend college after high school.
I wanted to come to KU because of the classes, and I wanted to take choir. And also I took American Sign Language.
The classes I'm taking right now are Business Law 1, Intermediate Algebra, and English Composition 2.
It's cool to meet new people. It's fun to chat with the guys and the managers and the coaches.
I wanted to be more independent and to join the sorority as my mom did.
I like to hang out with friends, watch sports, and I joined the Southernmost Coral Restoration Club.
In high school, I have to be with a teacher all the time, so it was not like any independent there. I was excited to have like a college life.
There are more than 300 inclusive post-secondary education programs around the country.
Having students with disabilities in classes has compelled our faculty to reflect on their practice. So it actually makes us better teachers, makes us better professors, makes us better scholars and researchers.
It's really got people to realize that we have to focus on universal access and doing things in universal design, everything that we do.
The great thing about including students with intellectual disabilities at KU is actually it makes the entire university a better university. It teaches students to appreciate difference, and it creates a more caring environment because students support each other.
This has united, I think, our campus, faculty, staff, and students. They have the opportunity to network and get mentors and other social skills and career development that their peers have had for many years, now they have.
I want to go into real estate in the future.
My goal is to be a teacher at a preschool.
I would run a bed and breakfast.
Political science is one of 3 career goals I have in mind.
My credo is maybe work in Kansas State Capitol.
I would like to have my own food truck because I want to have pizza, have some burgers, maybe have some tacos, nachos.
College has changed me because it's helped me grow up, like getting a job or living on your own.
It's great, and you'll have a lot of support when you get here.
If I can do it, you can do it, you know?
It's a time to be serious. It's a time to learn. I have the skills. I have the skills to live on my own one day.
Think higher. Think college for students with intellectual disability. Think access, employment, equity, options, diversity, independence, confidence, friendship. College is possible for students with intellectual disability. Take the first step at thinkhighered.net, a project of Think College.
All right, if you see me smiling really big, it's because it never fails at every time I watch that video. It makes me smile. You can just see the impact that these programs have on the lives of students who are experiencing inclusive post-secondary ed. So what does this look like? You've seen it. Now I want to describe a little bit more in depth. College for students with intellectual disability. Students are enrolling in college courses for credit or audit. Most students are enrolling for audit. These are non-degree programs across the country where students are earning credentials, often industry-recognized credentials, in lieu of traditional degrees. They're working in paid jobs on or off campus. They're participating in campus life just as any other student, and they're learning to live interdependently. As Martha said in the video this year, there's over 400,000 school-age students with intellectual disability in the United States, and fewer than 2% are likely to attend college after high school. For those who don't attend college, the 98% of adults with intellectual disability, their current reality is not so great. 15% have paid employment in the community, 42% attend a day program or sheltered workshop, 44% report they often feel lonely, and 29.3% are living below the poverty line. We have much better outcomes associated with the 2% and hopefully growing who are attending post-secondary education across the country. We know these outcomes are promising. 59% are finding competitive integrated employment up to 1 year after exit. 51% are earning higher wages than those who did not access post-secondary education. 87% of students were enrolled in a credential program, making them more competitively employed. And 100% of these programs across the country are providing peer mentor support to students. So let's take a little bit of a closer look before fielding some questions about what this looks like in the day-to-day. So these programs are offering several different features. They vary greatly. We're going to talk a little bit more about how you can discern maybe which program may be best for you or for your family member. But largely these programs employ a student-centered approach where the student's choices, decision-making is at the forefront of everything that they do. The classes they take, how they spend their free time, what clubs they join. It's dependent upon the student to outline and make decisions towards the college experience that they want to have. These are traditionally alternate admissions process oriented programs. So this isn't traditional GPA, SAT scores. To earn eligibility into these programs, you have to have a documented intellectual disability. And then in addition, each program will have its unique eligibility criteria. Usually that is being able to vocalize why you want to attend college, showing interest in being more independent, and then showing certain signs of readiness to explore and select a career field that's going to best suit your interests and experiences to date. Again, these are non-degree certificate programs that have their own unique programs of study. Some do offer degree options. One of the programs in St. Louis, University of Missouri St. Louis, or UMSL, is one such program, and we're hoping that more follow in their footsteps. And each program has different opportunities for housing. So I'd say about half of our programs offer housing opportunities as they traditionally exist on college campuses. Others might not offer housing or offer different housing opportunities for students. Academically, these are inclusive classes that students are taking. So students with intellectual disability taking classes alongside their peers without intellectual disability. Specialized classes do exist at some programs where students are taking in a small group class more functional skill-based courses specific to those students enrolled in the program. Each program offers a varying level of support for academic success and provides access to modifications to coursework and requirements if those courses are being taken in an audit status. For employment, programs offer skill building towards meaningful and competitive employment, career exploration opportunities, internship, paid employment that could be on or off campus. Resumes, profiles, and portfolios are often key artifacts that programs have students complete to make sure that they are presenting the best version of themselves to possible employers. And then they offer support for job seeking activities. And oftentimes you'll see that this is offered in conjunction to supports and services provided through vocational rehabilitation. Student life, students have inclusive socialization opportunities, the ability to participate in clubs and organizations, just as any other traditional matriculating student, the opportunity to explore student life and their peers. We all went to college to further our own career advancement, but we also went unknowingly or knowingly to figure out who we are, to figure out the values that we're going to have for the rest of our lives, to be exposed to new people, places, things, ideas that we may not have been exposed to, especially students maybe in self-contained classrooms. So it's about exploring who you are, who your peers are, chance to learn about new things, be exposed to different ideas and ways of thinking, and ultimately the opportunity to make new friends. I'm going to pause here. What questions do you have about what this looks like in the day-to-day?
The first question is, in these programs, are there staff that are trained to support people with disabilities that work alongside the students? People are wanting to know a little bit about the support structures that are in place for a student that's going to come into a program, a certificate program, probably in particular.
Yeah, so this is going to look different depending upon which program you're enrolled in. And so for most programs, they employ a pretty robust set of supports. And so those are traditionally people who are coming from human services backgrounds, so special education, social work, OTPT, but they have been trained to work specifically with people with intellectual disability. That's program-specific support. They're often working alongside, though, college personnel who have varying degrees and experience of working with people with disabilities. So oftentimes programs who have that area of expertise are supporting students, but they're also supporting staff and faculty on campus to learn how to effectively work with students with intellectual disability.
Yeah, I think that is really a key piece, is not so much the support they're providing to the student, but that they are a liaison for the residential team, a liaison for the professor that is not sure how to best support somebody. And I've seen that in action at our UMSL program. And it's really neat to see the expansion over the last 10 years of what people's expectations are and how comfortable they are in supporting people. You talked about the staff for the program. Do most programs, housing is so variable. I'm not sure you can answer this, but someone asked if there are additional supports provided in the housing versus a typical freshman.
Yeah, again, it really depends upon the program, which is why it's so critical to ask these questions. If you're exploring these programs, ask these questions of the ones that you're interested in. But I will say that largely if a program has a residential option, they have some type of support that is offered, whether that is hiring their own student staff to work exclusively with students in their program, whether that is dually training Res Life hired staff like resident mentors or resident advisors to also be knowledgeable of how to effectively work with students with intellectual disability. All program has some type of representation and staffing within housing, I would say. There are a few programs who don't get involved to any extent to provide support. But I would say that a majority of programs have a person that is on staff with them, usually a peer mentor, a student who's already enrolled in the university or college, providing those residential supports to students.
I'm going to take a minute here to shamelessly plug UMSL. So they are having open houses now. They regularly have open houses, and these are terrific questions to ask if you want your child to go to a college locally or if they want to stay close to home. It doesn't mean that's your only option. As Chelsea said, there's many programs, and we actually have a regional alliance of colleges within the surrounding 4-state area that work together to make sure they're creating the best options. So your child may want to go away to college, but wherever they go, I think having those opportunities for a college tour, a college visit, is another part of that transition out of high school. What am I going to do next? What are my choices? Go tour some colleges. How much fun would that be? The next question is, do you track the participation in student activities? In the video, somebody talked about a sorority. There was clearly engagement in sports. Is that something that your Think College or collects so that you can see what kind of opportunities people are engaging in?
So Think College is a national coordinating center for programs who receive federal funding as model demonstration sites. So UMSL is one program that we refer to as a TIPSID, and it's a really long acronym that you probably don't care to know what it stands for, other than the fact that they are receiving federal funding. So we collect data specific to those programs. So the data that I shared at the beginning of this presentation largely came from that data set that we have. Within that data, we gather some information about social experiences, but so much of it is just between the student and the experiences that they're having. Programs aren't sitting there saying, hey, you know, what club did you go to tonight? Or it's required that you attend XYZ club or sporting activities. It's just like any other college student where, you know, programs largely are just informing them of what opportunities are coming up soon. They're asking what support they may need to access those opportunities, and then they're letting them go on their merry way. If you thought about it, how many people followed up with you to say, hey, can you tell me how many club organization meetings you went to this month? Unless it's a specific goal of the student to work towards increasing the frequency of meetings that they're attending or new experiences that they're having socially, we don't collect a lot of nuanced data about social experiences. What we do have as an emerging field of research within inclusive post-secondary ed are a lot of researchers who have done quite a bit of research around what types of social experiences students are having. And so those data, those articles are certainly accessible, but it's nothing we as a national coordinating center keep track of. But we have anecdotal information about, you know, students who have been the president of student government, who have started their own clubs and organizations on campus, who have joined sororities and fraternities, and not in a rah-rah honorary manner. These aren't students who, you know, they were, oh, we feel bad for you, so we're going to give you a spot in our sorority. No, they went through Rush, they earned it, and the expectation is that they are held to the same expectation as any other member of that sorority or fraternity. And so we have anecdotal examples of that all across the country.
Yes, and if you want to know more about that locally, you feel free to call me, because I have seen people be homecoming king, be engaged in the student theater programs and arts programs, folks that are on intramural swimming teams. There's so many things happening, and it's really fun to see people stretch their wings like that. Our next question is about readiness. How are programs determining whether someone's ready, and how do you know if your child is ready for a program like that?
Yeah, again, something that varies significantly from program to program. So let's start with how you know your child is ready, because that's where you're the expert and not us. We spend so much time throughout a child's life talking about the importance of college, whether we know it or not. And then our students with intellectual disability are often left out of those conversations. So a lot of them get to middle school, they start talking about college. College isn't even on the table as an option for them. We are working to change that. We hope that you will be working to change that. And so just like with any other student, starting the conversation early around what is college? What does it look like? What are the expectations? It is more rigorous than high school. There are a lot more demands of you. And then how do we work to prepare via strong IEP goals, strong transition preparation to effectively transition to college? But it's really just knowing and understanding the comfort level of your student and being away from home. So any types of experiences like, camp where they are able to sleep away from their home gives them a lot of experience and comfort in getting ready for college where you're going to live away from home. Working on daily routine living skills that they're going to need. I'll tell you what, all of the resources, webinars, etc., workshops that I put on for my students when I was a director, the same ones that every other college freshman needed. So likely the concerns that you have are the concerns that every parent has in relation to, is my student ready? And guess what? None of them are until they get there and they have to figure it out. But certainly preparing your student by talking to them about what college is, what it means, the expectations is a good starting off point. Eligibility for programs, that's going to vary. What I would encourage everyone to do is to have their student explore why they want to go to college and be able to articulate that. So it's less about what reading score do I have, what self-determination score do I have, and more, how do I represent how this experience is going to change my life and how bad do I want it? Because I know it's going to be worth it. So providing your student the opportunity to practice those self-advocacy skills, those communication skills is going to be critical.
I wish every student with or without a disability had to be able to articulate why they wanted to go to college, because I think that would have been my first thing I would have said, is that I think the parents wanting the child to go is not enough. The student needs to know why I want to have this college experience and that they can take the lead in that. And one of the nice things about UMSL is that they have no longer got an age cap. So if they decide at 30 that they're ready at that point to go to college, there's an opportunity that's still there for them. So I love everything you said about thinking about planning early, making the opportunity to build your independence at every level, and having experiences that lead you towards college is a possibility. I think that's really key. What about tuition? We've got a question about, does out-of-state tuition still apply to these programs typically?
Again, it depends. I know I keep saying that. We're going to talk a little bit more about how to eliminate some of these variables, or at least become confident in being able to identify them yourself. But, I directed a program where out-of-state tuition was waived just because it was a non-degree program. That's not the case for every program. I think programs are working towards, as much as they can, making these options accessible financially for families. But it really just depends on the institution. The type of institution you attend certainly depends on the level of financial aid that is available to anybody who attends that institution, let alone somebody who's participating in a non-degree program. We are going to go through a little bit more about how to identify cost in just a moment using our college search tool. But I would say that the very long answer to a short question was it varies. We have instances of in-state tuition fees being applicable to out-of-state students all across the country. More and more people are trying to move towards that. Not a guarantee that that exists everywhere, though.
Yeah. We're going to answer two more questions quickly, and then I really do want to look at the search. So one of them was about training staff. Are there staff trained to help the individuals with transition? What happens if a child isn't adjusting well? And I think that really leads back to the question you just answered. Most don't. And they need to kind of get through that. What would you say about that, Chelsea?
I counseled parents when I ran my program to try to stay away until fall break. And that was a long 8 weeks for some people. But the more parents are bought in on letting go, this phenomenon of letting go to the extent we are able to as parents, the easier the transition is, believe it or not, because they're less dependent. They're thinking less and less about, oh, if mom were here, I know she'd be doing X, Y, Z. And they'd be thinking more about, oh, mom's not here, I could do X, Y, Z. And so it really depends upon the attitude that the parents have, that the expectation of independence they have of their own student being independent in that environment. Additionally, gosh, there's so much attention paid to every student and how they are acclimating to a new college or university. There's so many initiatives, measures, surveys that really get at, are you okay? Is your mental health okay? That just universally exists no matter what in higher education. And we're utilizing that same data as programs to ensure that our students truly are doing okay despite being in distress. Because you know what? Distress, while it makes us uncomfortable, allows us to learn and grow. And so, yes, they're going to be at some times distressed and sad and homesick. But A, I think a lot of people are, whether you have an intellectual disability or not. And B, those are really the moments where they start to see, I'm capable of doing this. I'm capable of doing this on my own. I know that mom and dad have my back. I can give them a call whenever I need them. But largely, it's my time to take over, make decisions, and be myself. So it's a sometimes, heartbreaking experience as a parent, but then equally just as thrilling to see when they get over that hump.
Yeah, absolutely. If you are listening to this and you can feel your own anxiety and fear rising up from your stomach into your chest, just know that here we partner with the UMSL team at the St. Louis ARC. We offer a Joyzen training for families, which is a very unique opportunity for families to come and spend some time kind of really learning how to not let go, but as we call it, lower the safety net and allow your child to stumble and make mistakes and learn from those mistakes, and at the same time take care of yourself. So if you're interested in that, let me know. We'll get you on the waiting list. I'm wrapping up the current session tomorrow, and it's been really fun to hear these families kind of start to make some paradigm shifts in their head about whether it's okay to try a public transportation or whether it's going to be okay to leave their family member at home for a while. But that's the only way that you do move towards these other great opportunities like employment, or having your own apartment, or mom and dad being able to go on a week-long vacation to Hawaii and not worry about what's happening to your kid when that's happening. So it's all here. Our last question, are there classes that are modified for individuals with disabilities when they're mixed with typical students?
Yeah, so most of our courses that are taking for audit, they are modified. So we're not changing the expectations we have of students. We are making sure that what students are accomplishing during that class session are in line with their career interests and goals. And so an objective could be to understand the difference between, a democracy and a dictatorship. And students in that class might be expressing that mastery of that concept by writing a very detailed essay that is 10 pages long. Well, guess what? You can demonstrate mastery of that concept without writing an essay. And so programs work with faculty members to look at what is the objective and how else can we prove that a student has learned this material. And usually it's in a different way, not an essay, maybe a video explaining the differences, maybe a brochure explaining the differences. And so programs work with faculty members to modify not what's being taught, how it's being taught, what's expected, but rather the assignments that allow faculty to assess whether or not a student has mastered that content.
Yeah. And our certificate program here also offers a 3 credit hour course. We can have our students take it as a 1 credit course that has less homework requirements, which is also another way for them to get a real experience without it being overwhelming. So, all right, let's see the directory.
All right, so this is the only directory, the Think College Search, the only directory of programs for students with intellectual disability. It is the program database since 2009. Programs self-report this information, so this may not be a complete list. We know that there are programs out there who are supporting students with intellectual disability. They may be new, they may not know we exist. And so this isn't all that exists in the country, but the most complete list that we know of at this time. You can research program details and features. You can find program contact information. And just a quick note that just because they're listed in our directory does not mean that we endorse them, meaning we have published Think College standards about what inclusive post-secondary education programs should be or should aspire to. That doesn't mean that just because they're listed in our college search that they adhere to or meet each one of those standards. So just a word of caution. If you wanted to know about the growth of these programs, so back in 2004, we're talking 25 programs, and now we're talking over 300 programs across the country in the span of 2 decades. This is a little outdated information. We actually have, I think, 328 programs now, but as of March of this year, the total number of programs was 315. You can see geographically how that all plays out. In Missouri specifically, you have 4, with a 5th emerging, to my understanding. And then what I want to share with you today is the importance of understanding this designation as a comprehensive transition and post-secondary program, or a CTP program. A CTP designation means that a program has met certain standards of inclusivity that allows them to provide federal financial aid opportunities for their students. And so it is an approval process that is defined in federal law that students or programs undergo with the U.S. Department of Education. And once approved as a CTP, students can access federal financial aid like Pell Grants, supplemental education opportunity grants, federal work study. Loans are not offered. Federal student loans are not offered as an opportunity for students enrolled in these non-degree programs across the country. It's important to note that not all programs, inclusive higher education programs, are CTPs. In fact, you can see here the same map of that 315 or 13 that exists in the previous map. Only 151 are currently hold that designation of CTP across the country. And so those are 3 programs in Missouri that would meet that definition. So how do you access our college search? So first thing you're going to do is go to thinkcollege.net. We have a pretty awesome website, y'all, chock full of resources, different ways of learning and gaining new information. But by far, I think our resources that really rock are the ones for our students and families. So you're going to go to the Students and Families tab. You're going to click on College Search. That is going to lead you to this beautiful map with so many beautiful features and functions, but it's going to look just like this. And you could click on individual states. You can get an idea of how many programs actually exist, etc. But what I really like is that you can filter out based upon what you're looking for. So you can look by state, you can look by different features, like whether or not a program supports and serves students who are utilizing IDEA Part B funds and are still technically enrolled in their local high school, whether they offer financial aid, whether they offer housing, type of disability served, type of institution. We have 4-year programs, 3-year programs, 1-year programs. We have those at public and private institutions. We have those at trade schools. Whether or not they have that TPSID funding. So I had referred to the federal funding that our model demonstration sites receive, like UMSL. You can filter out just programs who are receiving that federal funding. When you filter through, check out some of this information, this is an individual program listing. So it lists the name of the program, where it's housed, where it's located, gives you a brief indication of like a brief overview of the program itself. If it has that CTP designation, it will carry a little marker like this, includes the address, contact information, website that the program may have, and most of our programs do have individual websites. We also have a feature, you can save different programs that you're interested in. So even if you just wanted to look at all programs in Missouri, you can save each program in Missouri, and you can use our college comparison tool to really look across all of these different characteristics that a program may have to identify which option may be best for you. So it's a nice way to have all of this information in one place and really make an informed decision about what characteristics really meet your expectations for what you want out of inclusive post-secondary education. You can also visit our Think College Families group on Facebook. If you just search Think College Families group, of people who are looking for different college options, have already gone through the process, who can speak to the impact it had on their students. this is a great place for peer-to-peer learning that might occur.
I love this website. I think it's really cool that you can go in and also learn some things about preparing for college as a young person, as a student. You could watch some videos, you can see all the different options are out there. Because again, I think so many of the people that we work with have often not even considered college as an option. When I talk to high schools now, a lot of the staff in the high school environment are just learning that this is a possibility. So I think if you are a high school student or even a young adult that's thinking about college going on for yourself, to look at this website could be really beneficial because there's some fun stuff in there.
I'm going to leave it there. What questions can I answer about our college search function or our Facebook group?
While people are dropping their questions in, I wanted to know if you all have any connection to the community college system.
Yes. We're seeing that the community college system just naturally has been serving students with intellectual disability for quite some time, and only recently are formalizing that support in a way that they would be considered programs. They have a dedicated staff for supporting students. And so in the next iteration of our grant, we always seek to prioritize certain areas of this work. And we are definitely looking at the growing number of students with intellectual disability enrolled in community colleges. But we do have models across the country where community college programs have been in existence for a decade or more. And so we often look to those individuals as people who have been doing this and doing it well, to provide peer-to-peer support for those emerging community college programs. But they definitely have their own nuanced set of expectations as it relates to these programs.
I think that for all college programs, it's really important, again, for the students to know that the expectation will be on them to reach out for accommodations and support. There will be no curriculum modification, but there are accommodations as far as seating or amount of time you have to take tests or other kinds of support. But if you don't ask for them, you're not going to get those. And there's a little bit less infrastructure in community colleges than there are in these CTP programs. So if you're going to pursue a community college, which is a great affordable option, a great place to start, make sure that you support your young adult, your teenager, to go visit that disability office, or give them the tools they need to walk through the door on their own so that they can let somebody know, this is what I need to be successful here. Are you also evaluating the various programs to hold them all to the same standards?
Oh, what a great question. So we recently rolled out our accreditation standards. So we now, as of a few months ago, have the first accredited program through the Inclusive Higher Education Accreditation Committee. I'll have to check on that acronym for you. But we do have an accreditation process. It is new. We are piloting programs this year. And it will be our expectation moving forward that more and more programs will want to pursue accreditation as a way to ensure to families that there are quality indicators and characteristics of programs that are worthy of their investment. And so accreditation is the way in which all fields undergo this process. And so not unlike other fields, we have pursued the same entity. So we had to create an accrediting body and process. And so both of those have been established, and we hope to have more and more being accredited over the next year.
Excellent. I know you were recently in St. Louis, so I'm going to wrap up just by asking, what were some of the things that you saw when you were in St. Louis? What's your relationship like with our program at UMSL? Give us just a little taste of your perspective.
Oh, I can't say enough good things about the people at UMSL and the program at UMSL. There are so many conversations that I have every day where I think about something that maybe they're doing, or I reflect and I connect them with other programs across the country to share some of the good work that they're doing. And so I don't think there is a higher form of flattery or I hope they know that I think very highly of them. One thing that really stands out to me about UMSL's program is the work that program has done to ensure that students who are working hard in academic courses can actually earn academic credit. And that is something that is not always possible, and actually very rarely is possible in these programs across the country. So UMSL has really, they've really paved the way for others to consider what they need to do to get to that point where students are earning credit. Beyond that, it is our largest federally funded program. And so the numbers really speak to not only the quality, but the interest in the area of the program. And beyond that, they are leading our Midwest Inclusive Post-Secondary Education Alliance. And so they are providing technical assistance through Think College to other programs in the Midwest, which means we really think highly of them if we're having them share their wisdom and knowledge with others. So they're doing a lot of really great things.
Thank you so much, Chelsea. We did have one last question, and I'll answer it briefly. And then if you want to say something, you can, and we'll wrap up. Just about and families in high school knowing about what's out there. Do you work directly with high schools? I know here that's part of the TIPSID grant with UMSL is to make sure that we're doing outreach to the high schools so that they understand what's available. They're sharing that regionally with our regional collaborative. Is that something I'm assuming happens all over the country because it's something that we need to raise awareness about?
Yes. And so we do this in a variety of ways. So we actually have a lot of resources specific to K-12 educators on our thinkhighered.net, which is not our main website, but our public awareness website, which I'll share in just a moment. We also have resources on our main website about, I think we have over 100 goals and objectives for IEPs for students who are looking to transition to inclusive post-secondary ed. We have resources for conducting a college search that students can take to their IEP case manager and do with them. Several resources and things. And we're utilizing Council for Exceptional Children, Teacher Education Division to ensure that in teacher education prep programs that they're knowledgeable that this option exists and that they're able to promote it from day one and working with those families and students. I had referred to our main website, that's thinkcollege.net. Any question that you have moving forward or that I didn't answer today, thinkcollegeta@gmail.com is the best way to get a hold of me. It goes to me directly. We have a help desk system and I oversee all that. So I will be able to take a look at any question you may have. We are on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Our public awareness campaign, the video I shared with you at the beginning of this webinar, this is our public awareness logo, campaign logo, Think Higher, Think College. It has its own website, thinkhighered.net. If you're having a hard time describing what this is to other people, show this video and I guarantee you they'll get it. But then also if you go in the resources tab, there is a tab specifically for families and specifically for educators. So feel free to share that information with anyone and everyone you can, because the more we all get the word out, the more people will be accessing these opportunities across the country.
Chelsea, thank you for being so generous with your time. And thanks for sharing the video. I, like you, smiled through the whole thing because I could see the excitement and the pride in people's faces in all the different things they were doing at college. So, so Think College, everybody. And thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, definitely.